Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Animal. It has been a super long time, so for those of you who have not been here before, welcome. Make sure you subscribe if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, and for those of you who are longtime subscribers, have been here before, and know that I've been on hiatus, thank you for waiting while I've been on hiatus and, for continuing to support me while I've been quiet for the past 6 months. But without further ado, I'm here to make my YouTube-ish kind of comeback. I don't know, it's a soft comeback, but it's still a comeback nonetheless. And we're here to talk about Winter 2026 anime. I'm not gonna hold you up anymore. Let's roll into the video. So we currently have about 17 anime clocked, 2 specials and 15 seasonal, episodic, let's call it episodic anime. First one on the list is Undead Unluck Winter Special. That actually is already airing. That dropped on December 25th, so Christmas Day. And this special is canonical, so it follows the manga, and it is right after Billy's betrayal. If you don't know anything about Undead Unluck, I did a whole video on Undead Unluck. You could go watch that video. And in this special, which I think is like a little bit under an hour long, Juiz and Billy are facing off in what we want to call the 4 seasons arc. If you remember where we last left off, Fuko and Andy captured the fall season, and we still have winter, summer, and spring left to neutralize. And it was also revealed that Billy is the head of the Under organization, which is the main antagonist of Undead Unluck, and the opposing group to the Union, which Fuko and Andy are a part of. And although I haven't had the time to see it yet, I promise I'll be making the time to watch it. The trailer animation is absolutely beautiful. And considering how pivotal and important the fight is between Billy and Juiz, I actually think it was a pretty smart idea for them to make it a special instead of folding it into a season 2, for which I've heard has already been announced when you watch the special. And not only is this pivotal because we get to learn why Billy betrays the Union and was the head of Under all this time, it is also one of my favorite 1v1s in the entire story of Undead Unluck. The Kaguya-Sama Special, the Stairway to Adulthood, the trailer doesn't give much to understand what may be coming next, aside from the fact that if you remember where we last left off, Miyuki and Kaguya finally confess their feelings, they kiss, and so what's next, right? Well, it seems like they're officially dating and we get to watch their relationship grow, which is really nice because I feel like when you watch any type of anime related to romance, usually end goal is dating, or the dating is just like expedited to an extent you don't get to see those small cute little moments. And in the trailer, it kind of shows how Kaguya and Miyuki are like exchanging moments with each other through text message, on the phone, and it's not only the interactions in school that we're seeing, which is what we mostly see when it comes to other romances, especially in relation to high school romances. There are some online rumors that they are probably skipping some arcs, notably Ishigami Yu's arc, which is one of the main characters of Kaguya-sama, and I will say that his arc is quite possibly my favorite arc in the entire story of Kaguya-sama. Like, forget the fact that we're here for Kaguya falling in love with Miyuki and vice versa, and their relationship growing and budding and seeing their end game, but Ishigami Yu's story, I feel like it's just, what's the word? More romantic? More passionate? More transcending? Anyway, if they don't animate it, then you won't understand what I'm saying, but hopefully they do. So here's to hoping, fingers crossed, that we get to see Ishigami Yu's full character arc. All right, specials aside, let's dive into the episodic anime that we will be getting this season that I am most looking forward to watching. First one, straight out of the gate, that I believe is airing like at the end of December, maybe even January 1st, is Tamon's B-side. So Tamon's B-side kind of tickles me pink a little bit because as a semi-retired K-pop girly, seeing a fangirl work so hard so that she can support the group that she stands and her ults just kind of like hits home in the heart. And our residential main character, Fangirl, she ends up getting a housekeeping job so that she can acquire said money so that she can support her faves, support her idol group. And Tamon is her fave idol, which is one of the idols in said group. But in getting this housekeeping job, she learns that the housekeeping job is actually for her fave, Tamon, which is really exciting at first. And then she learns, whoa, he's not what he seems to be. While he seems very cheery, bubbly, and charming on screen, at concerts, doing his idol job, in person and at home while she's taking care of his home, He's kind of timid, has imposter syndrome, seems very pessimistic and down on himself. Not what you would feel and expect based on what you see in media. But to be honest, isn't that everyone? Everyone Everyone's gonna have a favorite actress, artist, maybe even YouTuber, and you come to meet them in real life, and about 50% of the time, maybe less, maybe more, their personality online or in media is not what it actually is in person. So to be honest, this is not totally far-fetched, but what makes this entertaining and has piqued my interest, and what also makes it pretty hilarious, is that when she finds out that he's actually nothing like how he is like in concerts and on screen, she still is like, yo, I'll support you endlessly. Like, this is unconditional love and support. But it does look like there's some romance that may potentially be in the mix, because as this unconditionally loving fan, she kind of gives Tamon a little bit of additional confidence when he's off screen. And even though she's just a fan, maybe there could be more. Another that I'm really excited for is Hana-Kimi. First, I want to say shout out to my friend Amelia for putting me on Peak. She allowed me to borrow her manga on Hana-Kimi during the pandemic when I really had nothing going on and was looking for stuff to read, and at that point I proceeded to binge the whole thing in less than a week. But so you know, and for context and why this is so wild that Hana-Kimi is getting an anime, is it originally ran from 1996 through 2004. Talk about serious long time ago. What I've always kind of enjoyed about this story is that it kind of is reminiscent of Twelfth Night, a Shakespearean play, where our main character Mizuki disguises herself as a guy in order for her to go meet her favorite idol track star, Izumi, in Japan. She's located in the US. She convinces her parents that she wants to go study in Japan, but decides to not tell them that it's an all-boy academy that she's going to. So there, disguised as a guy, she is there to convince Izumi to rejoin the track team. He decided to stop doing track, and she's like, why? You're my fave and you're so good at it. Why did you stop? So she goes there to befriend him and convince him to get back into track. But while there, unfortunately, Mizuki is not quite so good at concealing the fact that she's a girl. And it seems like there are quite some people who are finding out that she's a woman attending an all-boys school disguised as a guy. Yeah. So it's filled with really cute and funny moments, like one of the other male leads kind of falling in love with Mizuki but not knowing that she's a girl, and kind of getting confused about his sexuality because he's attracted to Mizuki the guy. Or the fact that, as I mentioned, Mizuki is not quite good at concealing the fact that she's a girl disguised as a guy, so it seems like we're always watching her almost accidentally expose herself. And we get to watch the triangle romance of sorts happen between Mizuki and our two main male leads, all while she's disguised as a guy at a boy academy. I think you can expect lots of hijinks, good comedy moments, some sweet traditional, should I say traditional? Maybe some classic 90s shoujo shenanigans. Then I will say and highlight the fact that even though it's being animated like 20-ish years later after initial publication, it still has that 90s charm to the character designs. Perfect timing with this one because the main story of My Hero Academia is done, and seeing as how emotional the ending left us, I'm itching for a new fix. So the return of Vigilantes with season 2 is just on time. For those of you who watch my lives, as you know, I've expressed much love and enjoyment for Vigilantes season 1 just due to the more adult cast, more adult tone, and I just found myself aligning a little bit more with Koichi, our main character of Vigilantes, who's navigating society and adulthood. I think what the trailer gives us to look forward to is the expansion on Koichi's abilities. Obviously, we saw at the end of season 1 that there's more to his abilities than just gliding, so I'm interested to see where his story goes. Also, I don't see Knuckle Duster much in the trailers, so where is he and what happened to him? And most vaguely, at the very end, we see Aizawa Sensei, aka Eraserhead, in his youth. Does that mean we're getting more backstory on him? Because you know, they mentioned a bit of his backstory in the main story of My Hero Academia just because of how it was related to the story and one of the villains. So I'm curious to see as to how his youth may have made Eraserhead the person that he is in present time of the story, the person that we kind of see as a sensei in MHA's main story, and just seeing overall how it shaped him into adulthood. I think that in itself is very promising for season 2 of Vigilantes, just because I was craving more after its small exposure in the main story of MHA. This one I heard ways of a long long time ago at one of the conventions I was at a panel, and it was being recommended as something to read. The Darwin Incident is getting an anime, and that will be airing on Amazon Prime Video. So this story is quite interesting, seems a little bit dramatic and sci-fi-ish to an extent, where we're following around this character, or rather this chimpanzee hybrid human, otherwise known as a humanzee, Charlie, who I think may be named after Charles Darwin, hence the title, The Darwin Incident. And for those of you, and I'm about to go on a tangent and a spin-off, for those of you who don't know, Charles Darwin was kind of the mind behind evolution. You know, how apes eventually evolved so much to become humans, the theory of evolution, right? You guys may have learned that in school. So I think that was a very interesting way in how they named our main character, Charlie, and this is called the Darwin Incident. So basically, Charlie, our human Z, he can walk, he can talk, he eats and wears clothes like humans do. But what really makes him different from humans? And Charlie himself wonders, what is a human in general? What makes the story dramatic is that there is an animal activist group that is trying to use Charlie as their figurehead to emphasize their message and liberate animals. But the problem is that this activist group in particular doesn't really protest in the quietest ways. They tend to use acts of violence and terror, and Charlie doesn't want to be associated with them by any means possible because this doesn't represent him. To be honest, Charlie doesn't feel represented in either world, whether it be the animal world or the human world. He's just him. So what I could say is that why I'm looking forward to this is it's a creative take on the evolution of species and how society deals and takes to different beings or just individuals being different. All right then. The anime I love to hate and hate to love is back with season 3. Yay! Yay, not yay. I don't know how I feel, it's complex. I say this because a select part of the JJK community has decided to spoil some very major plot points just from season 2 alone. Going into season 2, Nanami's death was spoiled for me. Yeah, that was pretty tragic. Dare I say, Maki's return was spoiled for me, but I guess Mappa's out here spoiling the fact that Maki comes back because they didn't show it at the end of season 2, but for some reason she's all up in the trailers. And I will say that if you are a reader of the JJK manga and you know everything that's about to happen, please do not post any spoilers in the comments. I do not appreciate that and will not appreciate that, and you will instantly be blocked. Saying it with kindness. Anyway, the super hyped, hot men for no reason JJK is back. And I'm curious to see where Gege, our mangaka, takes this story. Because Lord knows, I am still mad about Nanami and Nobara's deaths. One thing I am most interested in finding out is how did Yuji become public enemy #1 and why is Yuta after his head? That part was a little bit ambiguous to me at the end of season 2. Obviously for the fact that he houses Sukuna, but like I would think Yuta was on his side since they're both students of Gojo. That's the part I don't get. But again, don't explain it to me. I'm looking forward to watching it. No spoilers. I do like the fact that we have factions within Gojo's crew, and then it's versus everyone else, and then versus Kenjaku's crew, and it's just like all-out war. So I expect Culling Games season 3 to be absolute chaos, because if it's not chaos, is it JJK? Oh, and it looks like they showed a glimpse of Gojo, so does that mean he's back? Does that mean he becomes untrapped? Again, don't answer that question, just let me watch. Oh, but the most important thing is that this is Culling Games Part 1. When will Part 2 drop? Will they ever tell us how Maki survived, since they just had to spoil it in the trailer? And who will die this season, because you know there are many, many deaths coming. So much to find out on this season of JJK as an anime only. The Melodramatic Anime Club is currently recruiting new members to join the chats on thread for Anyway, I'm Falling in Love with You Season 2. I will say straight off the bat, the story isn't riveting, but I just gotta know who our main character Mizuho ends up with. And if you watch all of my seasonal anime videos, then you'll already know what anime I'm talking about. But basically it's a reverse quintessential quintuplets with some questionable and frustrating decisions from our main characters. And most importantly, I gotta know if Mizuho ends up with someone that is not Kizuki, because he is so forceful about his feelings on Mizuho that I don't understand how all of season 1 she was like, I don't know, I'm really into him, I think I like him, I think I want to date him sort of situation. It was just very confused and conflicted, even though other characters like Shin showed great interest in her, like wholly in-your-face interest. And I think it's been said or alluded to already that Kizuki and Mizuho do date in high school, so sad face, but they break up and as adults, they're not in touch anymore. The trailers seem to indicate that they do reunite in adulthood, but I'm hoping that doesn't go well. Or maybe there's some closure, let's just say that. I don't want them to get back together, but I do want Mizuho to have some closure because it seems like she's still reeling about the fact that Kizuki disappeared like some odd years ago. But honestly, I need either Shugo or Shin to be endgame because Airu is best friend, we already know it, and Kizuki is just not emotionally stabilizing and good for our girl Mizuho. Okay, as I may have mentioned earlier in the video, I'm a fan of K-pop and the sorts, and so this next anime, Dark Moon the Blood Altar, is based off a K-pop group called ENHYPEN, and the stories that are told basically in their music and their music videos. So if you don't know and you're not engrossed in the world of K-pop, a lot of idol groups tend to create stories within their music videos, and it kind of carries from album to album and from music video to music video. They create like a whole story universe. And this anime, which is based off a webcomic, is basically embellishing on this universe. Why may you want to watch this? Well, you could be a fan of the K-pop group ENHYPEN, or maybe you're a fan of the webcomic on Webtoon, or you like stories revolving vampires, or all of the above. I will say that this is probably gonna be a guilty pleasure of sorts, but you know, I'm curious to see what it's all about. The ending of the Fire Force series is here. It was sweet, it was short, and it was fun. And the ending of part 1 from season 3 was kind of a trip. Did Shinra travel dimensions? Did he travel so back in time that it looks like our modern society? I am looking forward to see how this ends and an explanation as to the rumblings of how the manga ended, because it has me super curious. It does look like the Great Cataclysm is gonna happen. They're not stopping it. And that it's gonna change the landscape of the world again. Is that the explanation I'm potentially looking for? Probably. But again, no spoilers in the comments, please. Also, as far as I understand as a non-reader, they are adapting a large chunk of chapters in this final part that's only gonna be like 12 to 13 episodes. Should I be concerned? That one I actually want to know the answer to. But anyway, this has been fun. Fire Force has been great. I've enjoyed it. It's been a fun time. I want to say super thanks to the mangaka and the animators and everyone attached to the work of Fire Force. I started this anime thanks to my husband and just kept watching without him. Sorry. Trigun Stargaze is the second and last part to Trigun Stampede. And for anyone who probably hasn't seen the 90s Trigun, just know that this is not a reboot. And it's not a continuation, it's a completely new original story. First, I love that there's a time skip that I'm seeing here from Trigun Stampede to Trigun Stargaze, because it allows for new characters to present themselves, like Millie, who was in the original Trigun. She was not in Stampede, which concerned a lot of people, and then I think they showed a hint of her at the end of Stampede, so seeing her here with Meryl and they're a team like in the OG story really gives some nostalgia and makes me happy. And it looks like the fights between Vash and Knives continue, with Vash having disappeared for that duration of time skip time. And what I want to assume is that maybe Meryl, with the likes of Millie, are searching for him. So I think we can obviously see Vash get back on track in hopes to track down, find, and defeat his brother. So I'm most looking forward to see how this original story ends. And for people who are a fan of the manga and the OG 90s version of Trigun, I actually would love to hear your thoughts on Stampede and perhaps what you're looking forward to in Trigun Stargaze. The animation of In the Clear Moonlit Dusk looks absolutely gorgeous. And this story is giving a little bit of generic shoujo, where the female lead is so handsome that she's basically prince-like. So much so that all the girls are always confessing to her. Isn't that odd? However, she very much identifies as a girl and wants people to identify her as so. Not that she wants to be princess-like or anything like that, but she wants people to acknowledge her for who she is, not how handsome she looks. And then one day she bumps into this guy who looks at her and just sees how beautiful and captivating she is and recognize her for the woman that she is. How will their relationship unfold? I think that's basically the crux of this trailer and the crux of this story. It feels like a very cute high school romance between two really gorgeous characters and a bit about how looks contrast who the characters really are and how it makes them feel. It feels like we're on a roll here with romances, another high school romance, because we're also getting You and I Are Polar Opposites animated. And I think that might get a full adaptation in this one season because there are only like 60 odd chapters. So I want to suspect that we could see everything adapted this winter. What I like about the title and the concept of this anime is that when you think about people getting into relationships, there's always the saying opposites attract. So I'm really curious as to how You and I Are Polar Opposites, kind of like a rom-com, tells that story. It mostly follows a bunch of high schoolers, mainly Tani and Suzuki being a super energetic, outgoing girl, very vocal, and how she has a crush on Tani, who's a lot more reserved, kind of blunt, and nothing like Suzuki. Talk about polar opposites. But Suzuki, in liking Tani, does everything in her ability to try and make a connection with him. She's always trying to talk to him, which makes Tani extremely confused, like, why is this girl talking to me? And with this, we kind of see the development in their relationship and how they grow closer through fun, awkward, and cute interactions. However, something that I've noticed in the trailer, because it was bouncing all over the place with character names, is that this may not just be about the two of them. I think there are a bunch of other characters that may grow closer, who are also polar opposites, whether it be platonic or romantic, within this story. It seems like MAPPA has been doing a lot of work in the last couple of months, because we also have Hell's Paradise Season 2 coming out this season. It looks like the trailers does a really good job of showing us where we left off, which was Gabimaru kind of having lost his reason for fighting and for living, and he almost had like a different personality at the end of Season 1. His whole reason for fighting and living was his wife, or was it his wife? Did she even exist? I mean, that's the big looming question mark that I'm hoping that we get a little bit of clarity on in Season 2. It looks like more Simon are coming to the island in hopes of helping, because, you know, we lost a ton of people in Season 1, so we gotta replenish the character pool. And they seem to be a lot stronger than the first wave of people that they sent to the island. The Tenzin, our main antagonists, I guess you could say, are getting more involved in the story. And it looks like there's an interesting development. One of the Tenzin comes across one of the characters, Chove, who seems to have merged with like the flowers on the island and him being human, and like maybe he's half Tenzin, like half of the immortal beings on the island. I don't know, that part's a little bit clear, so I'm hoping they explain a little bit of that. But they seem to allude to the fact that him being a mixture is a new phenomenon. So very much like JJK, let's see who survives and dies this season. It's very interesting to see Oshi No Ko change hands from High Dive to Crunchyroll. Literally had 2 seasons on High Dive, and suddenly we're on Crunchyroll for Season 3. And I think we probably have 1 more season left. So as you recall, at the end of Season 2, Aqua thinks he's done with his revenge. He thinks that he's gotten revenge on the person who killed Ai, and he can move on with his life. Or rather, there's no way for him to get his revenge, because he thinks that the person who killed Ai, potentially his father, is no longer with us. But also at the end, you kind of saw that Ruby is going on her rampage and is now Dark Ruby, because she finds out that kinda the person who killed their mom is the same person who probably killed Goro. Can't remember quite clearly, but basically she's napped. And when I say a rampage, she starts taking on all these sorts of jobs, like being the host of a variety show and getting herself more involved in the entertainment industry aside from her job of being an idol, which, as you can assume, will probably burn her out after some time. Meanwhile, aside from the drama, the Aqua and Kana agenda is getting pushed forward, and Akane seems to be getting an understanding as to what's going on between them. So who will be endgame? Aqua and Kana? Aqua and Akane? For those of you who read, don't spoil. And for those of you who have not read the manga, please don't watch my video on Oshi No Ko. I think important things to note from the trailer is that Aqua and Ruby's father does make themselves present and known. They've officially entered the story. And there's a mysterious new character that seems to be connected to Aqua and Ruby's previous lives as Goro and Sarina, respectively. But as I said earlier, I think we'll probably get 1 more season, because based on how much has been adapted so far and the number of chapters that we've already gotten in Season 1 and Season 2, we're about the halfway point in the manga. All right, one that I think like lots of people are excited for, which is Frieren Season 2, I cannot decipher any which way what's gonna happen in Season 2. The trailers are just very Frieren. That's the best way I can explain it. It looks like we're going to continue to see our characters Frieren, Fern, and Stark on their journey. And I'm sure we're going to continue to learn about Frieren's journey with Himmel and her previous party as she continues to build new experiences with Fern and Stark, or understand the experiences a little bit better reliving them with her new party. And obviously, in the spirit of Frieren, it won't always be just about the journey. It looks like there will be some battles and fights along the way. And sadly, unlike season 1, which was like 24 episodes long, it looks like, according to the rumors, I cannot wholeheartedly confirm, or rather, maybe I don't want to confirm because it hurts, but we're only going to be getting 10 episodes this season. I'm sorry, guys. And to be honest, I think that's kind of understandable because, as some of you may or may not know, the manga is on indefinite hiatus due to the mangaka's health. They've taken quite a few hiatuses in the past year or two since the first season was aired. And as I've kind of researched and understood, about 60 chapters out of the 147 that is available has already been adapted into the anime. Last but definitely not least, and one of my favorite new anime that came out of 2025, because let me tell you, Best Girl Inori is about to cook, is Medalist with season 2. And let me tell you, it was about damn time because I don't think I could have waited anymore. I mean, I couldn't wait anymore. I had to go read the manga. But this season looks to be covering the Chubu Block competition, which is a competition that selects the top 5 skaters out of 15 to compete in All Japan Novice Division. So it's a big deal. And while the trailer doesn't give much way as to what's going to be happening in season 2, we obviously a bunch of new skaters being introduced for the sake of this tournament and this competition, and that it's going to be getting exponentially harder for Inori. And I think we'll get to see more of her rival Hikaru because we get introduced to her in season 1, but not much is seen of her. And I think that this is going to be able to intensify the story between Inori and Hikaru and the rivalry that's going to build between them. And since the levels are going to be continuing to get harder and all Japan is basically next level, we can expect Inori to have to train harder and learn harder skill sets and routines for the sake of going further. And I do want to say that we've been getting a good bulk of Inori's story up until this point. I do think they're going to start introducing more about Tsukasa. We got a little bit of his backstory in season 1. I think they're going to continue to flesh out more and more on his character, seeing as that he is equally a main character to this story as Inori. So we'll get to understand more his skill sets as a skater, his capabilities as a coach, and his growing involvement in the community as him and Inori take to new heights. And for a while when watching the first season, I thought, wow, Medalist seems like the perfect anime for kids. But as I got to grow to read the manga and learn that Medalist is actually part of the seinen category, if you don't know what that is, that's basically a category of like marketing towards basically an older male demographic. And I think that mostly stems from the fact that Tsukasa's story is kind of wrapped around like the struggles of adulthood, juggling passion and being able to make a living, and when to call it quits on your dreams sometimes. So when I thought about this being perfect kids, I was like, well, wait a second. The whole story about Tsukasa is going to go straight over their head because what do they know about the struggles of adulthood? The storytelling of both Inori and Tsukasa and their trials and tribulations is personally for me what makes Medalist a standout sports anime amongst all others that I've seen. Like I would rank it up there with like Haikyuu, to be honest. And that one is very much beloved amongst many people in the anime community. Now, don't let me keep you on this because I can gush endlessly on Medalist. But if you want to know more about Medalist and why I love it so much, I have a whole video on it. Go watch that. This list is basically comprised of everything that I will be attempting to watch and has piqued my interest for winter 2026 anime. If there are any anime that I didn't mention that has piqued your interest, please drop them in the comments below. I want to know what else is going on this season that you may be interested in that I have not mentioned. Because personally, I can't watch them all. I can only watch so much, and honestly, as it is, this list is already looking a little too long, but we try our best. Again, I want to thank you all for waiting while I've been on hiatus and for watching this video. If it's a little bit rusty, excuse me, it's been a long time, but hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, make sure you hit the thumbs up, share with somebody else, let me know in the comments below, and if you have not subscribed yet by the end of this video, make sure you subscribe. However, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for joining again. This has been another episode of Animel. I'm Mel, the host of this channel, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye.